Hello, it's Julian here, and welcome to Carrying On, a deep dive into my record collection and life here in Thailand. I thought today I'd take the chance to have a chat about Roberta Flack, who sadly passed away a couple of days ago. A great soul singer from the 1960s and 70s and 80s, all the way through her life, really. But she really came to her peak in the late 60s and early 70s with a string of albums which were a fantastic take on the soul and soul jazz kind of genre. And I thought today I'd like to look at a couple of the records that I have, or yeah, the two records I have by Roberta Flack in her collection. The first one here is a classic from 1972. It's Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. For some people, this is the great Roberta Flack album. A lot of people love her first album, of course, as well. But for me, this one really hits the spot. Recorded, of course, with Donny Hathaway, her great friend in the 1970s. What a lovely uh, uh, gatefold sleeve that is, with the two of them there in happier times together. You can see the bond that they have in this photo, which was there in the early 1970s. And luckily, they got back together. I think they had a bit of a disagreement in the mid 70s, and they didn't really talk that much for a while. But here in 1972, they made this great album together. So what a great memory of Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway this album is. I mean, it's got the classic cover of "You've Got a Friend," released almost at the same time as the James Taylor version, apparently. But it's a lovely version. I love it. Them singing to hear these two great singers singing together is just fantastic. Um, Another personal favorite from this record is "Be Real Black" for me. I just love this tune. It's just such a wonderful melody and just the sentiment as well. That kind of celebration of blackness and just be real black for me. I just love the sentiment in that. It's a really laid back tune, but it has a lot of feeling in it, I think. And yeah, I love it. You've lost that loving feeling, of course, an absolute Stone Cold classic pop ballad. But wow, the way their vocals sound on this record is fantastic. I played this again last night on vinyl on my fairly new hi-fi setup. I bought a new amplifier and speakers, and I got a new cartridge. I've got an Autophon 2M Red, like a brand new one. Put on my record player. I've got Leak Stereo 230 and Wharfdale Super Denton speakers over the last year. And this is the first time I've played this record since I've had that new setup. And it really does. The vocals really come out fantastically on this record. That is where the strength lies, and in the arrangements as well. There are fantastic arrangements on this record. Wonderful musicians, including Eric Gale on guitar, Chuck Rainey on electric bass, Bernard Purdie on the drums, Ralph McDonald on percussion, and Joe Farrell playing soprano sax on that song. You've lost that loving feeling. And Hubert Laws, the great flautist, playing the flute on When Love Has Grown and For All We Know. And yeah, that second side starts with For All We Know, another beautiful ballad, with Donny Hathaway singing beautifully. And then the absolute stone cold classic for me, which is Where Is the Love? Side two, track two on here. What a beautiful version of this song. This is really the definitive version for me. The arrangements are just, they're so laid back, but so beautiful, so melodic. It's a song that sounds like it's always existed somehow, and they made it their own. The next song, When Love Has Grown, also a lovely tune. And then there's a more traditional religious song, Come Ye Disconsolate, which is a lovely way to start bringing the album to an end. And it does actually end with this piano ballad, really, with no vocals, just Roberta and Donny Hathaway playing piano and electric piano respectively together. It's a nice enough way to end. It's 7 minutes long though. Yeah, I sometimes feel I'd like another vocal performance, please, right at the end. But wow, when you've had nine great songs before that, I don't begrudge them playing a little a little piano solo between the two of them at the end called Mood. What a what a beautiful album this is. The other album I have is from 1980, and again it's Roberta Flack uh, featuring Donny Hathaway. Although very sadly he only sang on two of these songs before very unfortunately taking his own life. He it was I think not long after, maybe just a day or two after, he had recorded his second song for this album with Roberta Flack called "You Are My Heaven," and he went back home to his apartment in New York, and he was later that night or the next morning found on the ground outside his balcony. He had taken his own life. He had a struggle with mental health throughout, I think, the 1970s, which may have caused their estrangement, actually, him and Roberta Flack, because he was so unstable, unfortunately, on and off his medication. So there's a very sad kind of backstory to this album. The reason why he only sings on two of the tracks is because, yeah, his life was taken way too early by suicide. But Roberta Flack, of course, she was devastated by his death, but she went on to record the rest of the album and made sure it was called featuring Donny Hathaway on those two songs. Um, yes, You Are My Heaven, and the one really great song on this album is Back Together Again. I mean, as an album, it's not as good as that first album from 1972. It it's nice. It goes along nicely. There's some nice kind of poppy, more disco-y type songs on here with some nice ballads. But Back Together Again, side two, track two, is just a great record. It's a great duet between the two of them. Upbeat, positive, a lovely way to um, uh, for them to literally get back together again and record a really great soul pop song. But yeah, of course, it does. The death of Donny Hathaway does hang over this album, and it is a sad kind of postscript to the record. He only sings on two of the songs, and in the on the back, Roberta Flack's written a kind of a personal sleeve note, which I just like to read. Just she's talking about living and the definition of living as an adjective, and she writes to continue in existence, operation, memory, burning or glowing as a coal, flowing freely as water, manner or course of life. My life is beginning to reveal to me that Donny Hathaway lived. Roberta, 1980. So a lovely little postscript there a little tribute to Donny Hathaway that, yeah, he did live. He lived his life and he left his mark. And of course, so did Roberta Flack throughout her amazing career. So many albums you can choose, of course, but these are the two that I have in my vinyl collection. There are there's so many albums you can go back to and look at from her career, starting in 1969 with that amazing debut album, all the way through the 70s, and then yeah, continue into the 80s as a popular recording artist. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching again. That's all from me, Julian, from here on a more sunny day here today in Thailand. Uh, and I will now stop carrying it on and say bye bye for now. See you next time.